From the Outreach Studios at the College of Earth and Mineral Sciences at Penn State, this is Weather World.
Hello, everybody. I'm Fred Godomsky, along with Ben Reppert. Welcome to Weather World on this Wednesday night. We have had rain, we have had snow, we have had thunder. Welcome to spring in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, it's been pretty turbulent the past couple of days. Thankfully, tomorrow will be a calmer day overall, but certainly far from pleasant, almost borderline disgusting.
Okay, well, there you go. We have all that fun news coming our way in just a moment. Also tonight, a Wednesday night, that means we'll have an extended forecast where we'll be looking to the weekend and into early next week. And John Neese will be here with another edition of Weather Wise. But standing by with the weather for the next couple of days, here's Ben.
Thanks, Fred. A cold front is traversing across the state this afternoon, and it had some pretty frisky winds south and east of the mountains. This is a picture from Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, and this is a pretty large tree that was blown over as winds gusted in this area to 50 or 60 miles an hour this afternoon with that frontal passage. I want to thank Judd Frank for taking this picture, and thankfully this fell parallel to the road because otherwise we could have had some more serious issues for those folks there in Center City, Bethlehem. The winds in eastern Pennsylvania have slackened down a bit since that cold front the leading edge of it has gone through, but there's still a lot of wind to go. This wind is going to be with us through the rest of this week. We're going to have wind tonight, tomorrow, Friday. It's really not until the weekend that things begin to get calmer. Temperature-wise across Pennsylvania this afternoon, cooling down in the west. There are 30s showing up, and that is not a data issue. It is really that chilly this afternoon. 40s through much of the central mountains, holding on to some 50s in the southeast, but those will be getting replaced very quickly as this front is now beginning to work its way towards coastal New Jersey. On the satellite, you can see that there goes the front with the associated showers that crossed with it. We still have clouds behind it, and the clouds are going to continue to rule as we go over the next couple of days in spurts. We are going to see some breaks in the clouds, but if you want a full sunshine day, you need to head pretty far west to get in on some of that. The showers started in the west this morning, as advertised, around the morning rush. They came through central Pennsylvania around lunchtime, and now they are exiting stage right in eastern Pennsylvania. A few showers, but again, the wind was more impressive as the line crossed the eastern part of the state this afternoon. This cool pool of air associated with that upper low is going to be settling on in as we go through tonight. There is warmth across the Gulf Coast and even stretching up the eastern side of the Continental Divide, and that's where it is going to stay, unfortunately, as we will be influenced by this large pool of cool air. And you can see this giant swirl on the satellite. This is associated with that upper level low over southeastern Canada, which is going to very slowly meander toward the east. So if that's going to be moving slow, you know this giant swirl of clouds is also going to stay slow moving. And there's a lot of instability going on with this. We're going to be seeing the theme of the next few days being self-destructive sunshine, where you see a little sun, it heats the surface, but it's really cool aloft, so that it creates instability and ultimately some clouds. So it's not going to be the brightest couple of days. All the active severe weather will be staying down in Texas, where it is this afternoon, over the next 48 hours or so. So there is the upper low over Canada, and notice how this just isn't going to move very much. It's going to sit over New England for the next couple of days. We stay in this northwesterly flow, at least at about 20,000 feet in the atmosphere, and that's going to translate down to the surface too. Temperatures will be staying some 15 or 20 degrees below average over the next couple of days. So this front moves off the coast tonight, and again, you can see that this flow at the surface coming out of the north and west and staying relatively cloudy over Pennsylvania too. So by Thursday evening and even into Friday, it is going to be much of the same. So tonight, chilly for all, and even some snowflakes for some. We saw some snow last night into early this morning through places like Bradford, even down in the Laurel Highlands. Brief snow showers possible as well again overnight tonight. For the rest of us, partly to mostly cloudy. I think the best chance of seeing some clearing or some stars is in the southeast, but it's chilly for most. Lows generally in the 30s, some below freezing. For Thursday, sprinkles mixed with wet snowflakes again through the Laurel Highlands up towards the northwest plateau. Winds 10 to 20 miles an hour out of the west for most, gusts some higher than that. But notice these temperatures, well below average for this time of year. I even cooled these down a bit from yesterday in the southeast because I really don't think that we're going to have much sun to do much with this. And combined with the winds, it's really going to be feeling this cold, if not chillier, than what those numbers actually show. Then Friday, the winds continue 10 to 20 miles an hour out of the west. Temperatures a little bit higher with, again, self-destructive sunshine. And we'll be back with WeatherWise next.
"200 years ago this month, halfway around the world, a cataclysmic, non-weather-related natural disaster set into motion profound global changes in weather and climate that were felt for years, even here in Pennsylvania. In April 1815, 2 months before the infamous Battle of Waterloo in Belgium, an obscure volcano in Indonesia named Tambora exploded in what's believed to be the most violent eruption ever witnessed by humans. The sound heard 1,200 miles away, an eruption that volcanologists describe as supercolossal, estimated to have blown more than 40 cubic miles of dust, gas, and rock into the atmosphere, enough to cover all of Pennsylvania in 4 feet of debris, or the entire lower 48 states in about an inch. But much of the material was ejected so high into the atmosphere, as much as 25 miles up, that it spread around the globe in a matter of months, some reacting with water to form highly reflective aerosol particles, reducing the amount of sunlight reaching the Earth's surface and cooling global climate by a degree or 2 on average. Significant impacts were felt in Europe and the eastern U.S. by the middle of 1816, which became known as the Year Without a Summer. In Western Europe, temperatures that summer were 3 to 5 degrees below average. The anomalous chill centered in France, resulting in devastating crop losses. In nearby Switzerland, an 18-year-old aspiring writer named Mary Godwin, later known as Mary Shelley, was visiting the famed poet Lord Byron on the shores of Lake Geneva. The unusual chill kept them indoors much of the time, reading and writing ghost stories. And from that summer experience, Mary Shelley wrote Frankenstein, arguably the most famous monster tale of all time, a creature forever associated with gloomy and stormy weather. Closer to home, we have written accounts about the weather in Pennsylvania that summer. A letter from Erie noted that the season has been frosty for weeks, that there would be no crops, and that until lately, Lake Erie was not navigable because of the ice. From the Niles Weekly Register, a popular magazine of the time, we have that snow had reached the neighborhood of Pittsburgh in June. And from Downingtown, Chester County, we hear of severe frosts on 2 June mornings that killed the beans and destroyed whole fields of corn. Later in the summer, longtime weather observer Charles Pierce near Philadelphia wrote in his diary regarding August 1816, "This poor month entered upon its duties so perfectly chilled as to be unable to raise one warm, foggy morning or cheerful sunny day. It commenced with a cold northeast rainstorm, and when it cleared, the atmosphere was so chilled as to produce ice in many places." Newspapers received from England said, "It will ever be remembered by the present generation that the year 1816 was a year in which there was no summer." Any forecasts for the summer of 2015 are largely guesswork at this point, but I promise you that's not the case with Fred's extended forecast next.
As we head into the extended forecast period, we're going to have a couple of those up, and it could be a long siege of precipitation. And that is the extended forecast. We'll be back in a moment with more.
So by the time we get to this weekend, things will begin to climb out of this rut somewhat. But until then, the chill is here. Tonight, many places will be approaching or going below the freezing mark in western Pennsylvania. There can be a brief snow shower tonight in the mountainous terrain north and west. Some stars in the southeast. Philly may be holding in the 40s, but that's the only spot. For Thursday, temperatures 15 to 20 degrees below average. There will be some sprinkles and wet flakes in the mountains and down into the Laurel Highlands tomorrow. High temperatures struggling to hit 40 in the northwest, struggling to hit 50 in the southeast. A really unpleasant day with some sun in the morning, definitely more clouds in the afternoon. Friday, better, barely. Temperatures a little bit higher on the thermometer, getting more into the 50s south and east, more 40s showing up. These winds continue out of the west, 10 to 20 miles an hour with, again, self-destructive sunshine, the best chance of that Friday morning. Fred?
Thanks very much, Ben. That is just about all the time